You have a modern phone, but your brain is still in caveman mode. Your brain still reacts like a caveman's. It fears rejection, it avoids change, it looks for threats. You look over your shoulder all the time because if you didn't, you might get attacked again. But that's not very helpful when there's no saber-toothed tiger around. And yet our brains still work that way. They're always looking for the next attack, always on the lookout for rejection or failure or criticism. Once you realize this, you can start to control your mind instead of letting your mind control you. We have to put ourselves in situations where we feel fear and then choose not to act on that fear. When we experience prolonged stress, our body goes into survival mode. In survival mode, our brain is focused on the here and now. We can't think clearly. We can't problem solve. There are many techniques that we can use to reduce stress, such as deep breathing exercises, meditation, yoga, and spending time in nature. But the most important thing is to find what works for us. Everyone's different. What helps one person may not help another. Will you be in caveman mode, or will you be in control? It's up to you. We all need to find our own way to manage our stress. All of our energy is focused on the immediate threat. But when we learn to control our brain instead of letting our brain control us, we can use our higher thinking skills. We can pull ourselves out of survival mode and think more clearly. We can problem solve. We can make better decisions. For example, if we're afraid of public speaking, we need to put ourselves in situations where we have to speak in front of people. When we're stressed, we're more likely to make impulsive decisions that we later regret. But when we learn to control our brain, when we learn to override the stress response, we can think more clearly and we can make better decisions. Maybe we start with just a few friends or family members, and then as we become more comfortable, we speak in front of larger groups. Each time we choose to speak, even though we're scared, we change our brain chemistry. Eventually, our brain will release different hormones, different neurotransmitters that help us feel calm and confident instead of anxious and fearful. Think about it. If you were an early human and you survived a saber-toothed tiger attack, you would be very cautious, right? You'd be hypervigilant. When we see a snake, we run away or freeze in fear. When we see a loud dog, we either try to attack it or run away from it. If our brain wants us to run away from the saber-toothed tiger, but we don't, we have the ability to say. When we experience prolonged stress, our body goes into survival mode. We have to teach our brain how to get out of survival mode and into a calm state. We can do this by practicing deep breathing, meditation, yoga, or other mindfulness practices. But again, we have to find what works for us. No, I'm not going to run away. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't feel fear. It just means that we choose not to act on the fear. We choose to stay and fight rather than flight, run away. That's how our brain is wired. So how do we change it? We need to train our brain. Don't let your brain train you. This is why willpower is so important. Willpower is the ability to override what our brain wants to do. When our brain sees a threat, it releases cortisol and adrenaline. These are the stress hormones. And when we experience them, our heart beats faster, our breathing becomes more rapid. These are the fight or flight response. But what happens when we choose not to fight or flight? What happens when we stay and face the saber-toothed tiger? Well, those same hormones are released, but different receptors are activated. Instead of running away or freezing, we fight. This changes the chemistry in our brain. The same hormones that would cause us to run away or freeze actually cause us to take action when we choose not to be a victim. So how do we train our brain? How do we get our brain to stop running away from things? Well, we do it by facing our fears. How do we change our brain? We have to train it. Don't let your brain train you. Let me give you another example. When we're stressed, it's hard to think clearly. This is why it's so important to learn how to manage our stress. We have to teach our brain how to be calm. Will you let your brain train you? Or will you train your brain?